Right now, stretching across the northern half of Africa, lies one of the most extreme environments on Earth, the Sahara Desert, a place so vast it covers more than 9 million square kilometers. That makes it almost the size of the entire United States. From space, the Sahara looks like an endless ocean of sand, dunes rolling across the horizon for hundreds of kilometers, rocky plains, dry valleys, and landscapes so empty they almost feel alien. During the day, temperatures can rise above 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt plastic left in the sun. At night, those same temperatures can suddenly drop close to freezing. The air becomes silent, still, empty. For centuries, explorers believed the Sahara was a place without history, a land where almost nothing ever happened, just sand, wind, and heat. But that image is deeply misleading, because beneath those endless dunes, scientists have discovered something extraordinary: ancient rivers, hidden lakes, buried civilizations, and landscapes swallowed by sand thousands of years ago. The truth is, the Sahara Desert hasn't always been a desert. In fact, not long ago in Earth's history, this place looked completely different. And what lies beneath it may be one of the greatest hidden chapters of our planet's past. If you traveled back in time about 10,000 years, you wouldn't recognize the Sahara. Instead of endless dunes and scorching heat, you would see something almost impossible to imagine today. Grasslands stretching across the horizon, rivers winding through valleys, huge lakes reflecting the sky, and animals roaming across open plains. Elephants, giraffes, hippos, crocodiles, even massive herds of cattle. What we now call the Sahara was once a thriving ecosystem. Scientists refer to this time as the African Humid Period. During this period, the region received far more rainfall than it does today. Seasonal monsoon rains pushed deep into northern Africa. Water-filled rivers and lakes across the land. Vegetation spread across areas that are now barren desert. Entire ecosystems developed across the region. But how do scientists know this? Because the Sahara itself still holds evidence. Hidden in caves and cliffs across the desert are ancient rock paintings. These paintings show scenes that would seem impossible today. People swimming in lakes, hunters chasing animals through grassy landscapes, fishermen catching huge fish. These artworks are thousands of years old, and they reveal a stunning truth. The Sahara was once alive. At its peak, this lake covered more than 100 square kilometers. At its peak, this lake covered more than 350,000 square kilometers. That made it larger than the modern Caspian Sea. Imagine standing on the shore of a massive inland sea in the middle of what is now desert. Water stretching to the horizon, fish swimming beneath the surface, birds flying overhead, and villages forming along the shoreline. This lake supported a massive ecosystem: fish, reptiles, birds, large mammals, and human communities that depended on the water. But this world would not last forever, because Earth itself was slowly changing. Around 6,000 years ago, the climate of Earth began to shift. The cause wasn't a massive catastrophe. There were no explosions or sudden disasters. Instead, the change came from something much slower: small variations in Earth's orbit around the sun. These variations changed how sunlight was distributed across the planet. In northern Africa, rainfall began to decrease. The monsoon system that once brought moisture deep into the continent began weakening. At first, the changes were subtle. Lakes began shrinking, rivers flowed less frequently, grasslands started drying out. But over centuries, the transformation accelerated. Vegetation died, Soil turned to dust, and winds carried that dust across the landscape. Slowly, the green Sahara faded away. The land turned dry. The dry land turned to sand. And eventually, the Sahara Desert was born. Animals migrated south. Human communities were forced to move. Entire settlements were abandoned. But when those people left, they left something behind. Cities, tools, paths, and traces of ancient civilizations, all buried beneath the sand. For centuries, explorers believed the Sahara was mostly empty, a vast wilderness where very little had ever existed. But modern technology has revealed a completely different reality. Using satellite imaging and radar technology, scientists can now detect structures hidden beneath the sand. And what they have found is astonishing. In several regions of the Sahara, archaeologists have discovered evidence of ancient settlements. Stone walls, buried foundations, paths carved across the land. Some of these discoveries suggest that large trade networks once crossed the desert. Caravans carrying goods across northern Africa thousands of years ago, connecting distant civilizations. But one discovery in particular captured the world's imagination: the lost city of Ubar. For centuries, Ubar existed only in ancient stories. Legends described it as a wealthy trading city buried deep within the desert, a place filled with riches, a crossroads for merchants traveling between distant lands. But according to legend, Ubar vanished, swallowed by the desert. For many historians, the story sounded like pure mythology. But in the 1990s, something remarkable happened. Scientists studying satellite images noticed faint patterns beneath the sand, lines that looked like ancient caravan routes. These routes all converged toward a single point deep in the desert. Archaeologists decided to investigate. When excavations began, they discovered the remains of an ancient settlement buried beneath the sand. Collapsed towers, stone walls, artifacts from an ancient civilization. The lost city of Ubar was real, and its discovery proved something incredible. The desert still hides many secrets. Cities are not the only things hidden beneath the Sahara. Scientists have discovered something even more surprising: ancient rivers. Using satellite radar, researchers discovered the remains of enormous river systems buried beneath the desert. One of the most famous is the Tamanrasset River. Today, this river cannot be seen, but thousands of years ago, it flowed across the Sahara for hundreds of kilometers, eventually reaching the Atlantic Ocean. It may have been one of the largest rivers in Africa, supporting entire ecosystems along its banks. Over time, the river dried up. Wind covered its path with sand, and the desert erased it from the surface. But the river still exists, hidden beneath the sand, a ghost river from a forgotten world. Even deeper beneath the Sahara lies something even more surprising: massive underground water reserves. These reservoirs are called aquifers, and they contain ancient water trapped beneath the desert. One of the largest is the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer System. This enormous underground water system stretches beneath several countries: Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Chad. Researchers estimate it holds around 150,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water. That's enough water to supply millions of people for generations. But there's a mystery surrounding this water. Most of it fell as rain tens of thousands of years ago, long before the Sahara became a desert. This means the water is essentially fossil water, a hidden ocean beneath the sand. A reminder of a time when this region was covered in lakes and rivers. Space, it looks like a giant circular space, It looks like a giant circular pattern carved into the desert, a massive bullseye stretching across more than 40 kilometers. Astronauts can easily see it from orbit. For years, scientists struggled to explain how it formed. Some theories suggested it was created by a massive meteor impact. Others believed it might be the remains of an ancient lost civilization. Some people even suggested it could be connected to the legend of Atlantis. Today, scientists believe the structure formed through millions of years of geological erosion. But its strange appearance reminds us how mysterious the Sahara still is. One reason the Sahara continues to hide so many secrets is the power of its sandstorms. The desert produces some of the largest dust storms on Earth. These storms can lift enormous amounts of sand and dust into the atmosphere. Every year, the Sahara releases hundreds of millions of tons of dust. That dust doesn't just stay in Africa. Winds carry it across the Atlantic Ocean, eventually reaching the Amazon rainforest in South America. This dust contains nutrients like phosphorus. These nutrients fertilize the rainforest soil, helping plants grow. In a strange twist of nature, the Sahara helps sustain one of the most important ecosystems on Earth. Two landscapes separated by an entire ocean, connected by the wind. The Sahara is not a static place. It is constantly changing. Wind slowly pushes dunes across the landscape. Sand buries old landscapes. Entire regions can transform over time. Some dunes move several meters every year. Over centuries, they can swallow entire valleys. Even ancient settlements can disappear beneath the sand. But the Sahara has not always expanded. In fact, throughout Earth's history, the desert has gone through cycles. Periods where it becomes dry, and periods where it becomes green again. Scientists believe the Sahara follows long natural climate cycles. Every 20,000 years or so, small changes in Earth's orbit affect rainfall patterns across Africa. When the conditions are right, monsoon rains return. Lakes begin to form again. Grasslands spread across the land. Animals migrate back into the region. The desert slowly transforms into a green landscape. Some climate models suggest that, in the distant future, parts of the Sahara could become green once more. If that happens, something extraordinary could occur. The buried landscapes beneath the sand might reappear. Ancient riverbeds, lost settlements, hidden ecosystems, entire chapters of human history waiting to be rediscovered.